sometimes I may feel like I'm in the back burner, but it's not really that. It's we're evolving as humans, which is what you're supposed to do.
Right.
So yeah, you're marrying the unknown, and again, like, how do men deal with that? How do women deal with that? So it's never a thing where it's just a one script, one blueprint. You're continuously trying to figure things out, communication, and I want to have real conversations about how people deal with these things.
Yeah.
Yo, it's your host, John Reese. Welcome to Inside the Mind, episode 6. We have Elite in the building on the figure side of things. It's my first figure guest, complete figure anyway, and I'm excited about this one. She's been competing for 3 years, only had to do 2 national shows. She turned pro in 2020 at the NPC Universe, which is crazy because I was at that show. I missed my pro card by 1 point and had a meltdown all the way back to California. I'll tell you about it though. But yeah, she has 1 pro win at the illustrious Pittsburgh Pro in 2022, which qualified her for the Olympia. None other than Shanice Abrams. How are you doing today?
I am well. Thank you for having me. First off,
see, I told you your intro wasn't gonna be short. I told you. I'm glad you're here, man. Of course, just using this platform just to give better insight to what we go through as bodybuilders and athletes mentally. A lot of your fan base and fans of the sport in general don't get to see that. They just think we just operate on pure energy and we just look like this just cause. So yeah. And that's far from the truth. There's a lot of mental capacity that goes in it. So before we get into anything, how are you doing mentally these days?
I'm good. I'm good.
All right. You out there? Were you in New York, right?
No, I'm in Maryland.
Oh, you in Maryland? Oh, wow, man. Hey, side note. Are y'all crab cakes better than Virginia and DC?
Yes.
Oh, you said that emphatically. Okay.
No, because mind you, I'm not from Maryland. I'm originally from Connecticut, but
okay.
I am a huge foodie.
We need to
have tried just about every crab cake in the DMV area. And Baltimore, Maryland definitely has the best.
What makes it better though? Sorry, fans. We I'm a foodie too, so y'all just gonna have to wait. What makes it better though?
So the amount of seasoning that they put just right, and it's always the ingredients they put in. Like with a crab cake, sometimes you put a little bit too much pepper or something in it, it'll just overwhelm the actual crab cake. They have it down to a science. And the side always bigger. So
back there with that chemist work. Okay. All right. So I've had DC and I've had Virginia. I think Virginia's is better than DC's, but
for sure. I would say that.
Okay, then I was right. But I haven't made it to Baltimore yet.
Missing out.
Look, I know there got to be a show coming out there sometime. I'm gonna get out there.
Let me know, and I will take you.
All right, I got you. So, all right, let's jump in. Tell me how Miss Shanice Abrams got into bodybuilding.
That's always so hard for me to answer. I was I'm completely different. My path was completely different than most people. Okay. I kind of just got thrown into this.
Really?
Yes.
Was it by somebody or?
Yeah. My trainer, one of my trainers.
Okay.
I actually started off with him because, flashing back, I've always been an athlete. I was a
Mhm.
professional track and field runner, professional CrossFit athlete. Like I've just been
Wow.
competing in everything since I was like 9 years old.
Okay.
So I'm naturally athletic. There was a period of time where I had gotten into a really bad car accident and
Mhm.
I couldn't work out because I had like dislocated my shoulder and I had messed up my back. So throughout that time, I said it in the beginning of this, I'm a foodie. So what happens
Mhm.
when you're a foodie and then you can't work out? So I
Look.
ended up gaining a lot of weight. Um, and just wasn't happy with myself. So once
Okay.
I was clear to start working out, I went back to working out myself because I'm also a certified personal trainer. So I know my way around the gym. So I
Okay.
went to working out, and then it got to a point where I was open enough to realize I needed help. Because I'm like, it didn't take you just overnight to gain this weight, so you're not going to lose it
Mm.
overnight. So I ended up through a friend's recommendation finding one of my trainers now. And so I told him because I have a relationship with Nike, being a former professional track and field athlete.
Mhm.
So I'm the type of person, I need a goal. I need something to, aspire to as the former athlete in me. So I set up
Absolutely.
a photo shoot for Nike, like a promo, just to shoot some of their new stuff that was coming out. And that was going to be in the summer of 2019. So I hired this trainer to help me. So the first session we had, um, he looked at me and he was like, have you ever considered bodybuilding? And my exact reaction was, what? I'm like, you want me to get big? Like, I knew nothing about bodybuilding. So my head went to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, I
Of
was like,
course.
you want me to get big? I said, no. I said, not to mention, they wear bathing suits on stage. I said, no, no, no. And so he kept like every session, he was like, yo, like, he's like, he has a phenomenal eye because when I tell you
Mhm.
it was 60 pounds of fat on top of whatever frame he was looking at that he swore that I had, he was like, your frame is amazing. So
Wow.
that flash forward got down to, I started off with him at like 170, got down to 125. By the time
Sheesh.
I did, yeah, that, and this was within like a 6 month span.
Mhm.
He did my diet and everything. So did the photo shoot. So right after the photo shoot, this was the end of the year.
Mhm.
He was like, he's like, what if I told you, that I put you like the diet you've kind of been on has been a bodybuilder's diet.
Oh, he was plotting.
He
Yeah.
was, he was. And I was like, what? And so he was like, and then what if I told you there's like a show that's coming up out here in like 8 weeks? Would you do it? I was like, no,
Yo.
no. And so he was like, and one of the things that I had said that I had told, because by this time we had gotten close, he was like my
Okay.
brother. And so I had told him one of the things that I said when I turned 30 was that I wanted to start conquering my fears. And one of the biggest fears I have is stage fright. I used to be a dancer and I would always have like panic attacks backstage and everything before I went on stage. So I
Wow.
was like, that's one of the fears I want to conquer. So he threw that back in my face. He's like, you said you wanted to conquer your fear. So I was like, you know what? I was like, F it. We'll do it. I was like, I'll do the show. It was supposed to be a one time thing. It was supposed to be something I was checking off my bucket list,
Mhm.
just some local show. So I ended up going to do the show and swept everything like class, novice, true novice, overall, best
Of
presentation, best
course you
finisher.
did.
So I
Look,
just
hold on. Any so one thing I noticed, people who have track backgrounds do so freaking good in bodybuilding. My coach and a couple of the trainers they'd been like all world, just like you said. My coach was all world. Had literally was close to going to the trials for the Olympics one
Sid
time.
too. Sid Gillen, she's a former track runner.
Well, damn, it makes sense. All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so after that, once again, I am an athlete and we are
Mhm.
trained to be competitive naturally. So he comes to me. at the show, like at the show, we're taking pictures with the trophy. And he was like, the trophies, he's like, you know, you could go to nationals and probably do real well. And I was like, what the heck is a national? I said, what? So at that moment, the competitive side got to me because he knew how to speak to me. At this point, he knew what to say
Clearly,
to
it's like,
get me. And yeah,
uh-huh.
exactly, he pulled me in very good. So once I figured out that I was going to try and go to this national stage,
Mhm.
I was like, I got to find the best coach in the business because my trainer at the time, who was my prep coach for the first show,
Mhm.
he had just got married. His wife was pregnant. I'm like,
Mm.
you're getting ready to have a lot of life things happening to you, and I'm like, if I'm going to step on this national stage, you know, I need someone. So I ended up finding Sid and finding Sid's coach, who's Damien Segovia from Pro Physiques. Ended up reaching out to him and asked him to take me on and be my prep coach, and I would still have my trainer since I lived in Maryland. So my trainer would take me through my workouts, and
Mm.
he was in charge of my nutrition, shows, all of that. He was my overall prep coach and would work with my trainer, like tell him I need her to improve on this and that. And then it just took off from there. I went to junior
What?
bowl. Then COVID happened and everything shut down.
True.
I was in prep that entire shutdown because originally I was supposed to do I was supposed to do Universe first as my second show.
Which would have
And
been in July, right?
no, it was supposed to be in June, I think, that
Yeah,
year.
the end of June. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
And
end of June.
so I was like in prep and then the world shut down. We all at that time had no idea when the world was gonna open up. So
Mhm.
my prep coach kept me in prep. He's like, no, he's like, everybody else is gonna get out of prep. And I had access to like this local gym here. So I was able to still train. And then it ended up being Universe pushed back their date and it ended up being Junior USA's ended up being the first show to happen, period, that year in August. So needless to say, that show it was a lot that it was just a lot going on because they didn't know how to run the show. There was, and then like people weren't allowed backstage. We had to wear masks up until we got up on stage. It was just one big cluster. So like head anxiety. So I ended up being like bottom of my class. It was like 20 girls in my class. I was on the end of last call outs. Um,
Wow.
so I got my butt handed to me my second show. Once again, that lit the fuel to the fire. Like went to my prep coach after that and he was like, are you done? I was like, heck no. He's like, I knew you were gonna say that. He was like, Universe is in 6 weeks. He's like, giddy up. We're gonna go to Universe. So
Facts.
then I went hard, training wise, diet wise. I said I would never be last at the end of last call outs ever again. And
Yeah,
then
talk that talk.
6 weeks later, you know, went to Universe and got my pro card in my third show.
So you literally got thrown into it,
Mhm.
which is crazy. You conquered a lot of fear. So where you turned pro, so same thing. COVID went through that whole mess. I was
Mhm.
preparing because being out here and in the LA area, I was preparing for USA's.
Mm.
And a month before they were like they moved it to December. I was like, "Oh, y'all got to be tripping. Ain't no way I'm waiting that long." So I'm like, "All right, well, I can hit up North America's first and
That
then
was
try
in
to
September that year.
yeah,
Was it?
and
Yeah.
then I could try to go to Universe
Mhm.
after." So North America's had this whole plan of like how they were going to protect everybody,
Mhm.
and they were had this like tent
They were gonna do the
where
stage out. They did the stage outside that year, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
so the plan, I love our league, but the plan was that we take shuttles from the hotel each like 2 or 3 classes at a time, so no one's clustered backstage. What ended up happening
Mhm.
is everyone didn't go back to the hotel, and we all ended up in this
Yep.
tent.
I
So
remember
it was
seeing that.
like, yeah, it was wild back there. So you talk about, and I'm not the type that has anxiety like that. But when you talk about this COVID thing and
Yeah, a
everybody
lot of people
backstage, and I'm like,
backstage, yep.
yo, I know that thing in here lingering somewhere.
Mhm,
Like it gotta be. So that was kind of
mhm,
crazy. I ended up placing fifth, and then I was like, let's try Universe. And went
mm.
to Universe, and yeah, I lost it by 1 point. I got third.
Oh,
So yeah, but it's pretty
okay.
dope. Like as these interviews go, it's funny. Like everyone I interview, like they either went through this whole COVID thing or they won their pro card where I won it at. So it's pretty cool to kind of
Mm.
go through
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So the fears though,
Mhm.
are they still present?
Yes.
If so, what do you do as an athlete, as a human? You well, first of all, you've been to the biggest stage there is. So those lights for you in particular have to look a
Mhm,
lot more brighter in a sense, if I could
mhm,
say.
mhm.
Like, what is your go-to method to kind of remove yourself from that anxiety or just to manage it until you get done with your routine?
So I've learned to manage it, um, as well as I am prepared for it. Um, and so specifically when it came to the Olympia, and I thank God for her every day. So Sid Gillen is one of my closest friends. Like
That's nice.
we formed a bond, a sisterhood, and we actually were both in Arizona going through prep for the O. So I was able to like ask her any questions, and she knew the layout of the land, so she kind of like told me how everything would go, like
Okay.
everything down for them shuttling us to the venue, like kind of what it looks like, and so just having her to be able to help coach me through that so that I was prepared help for the Olympia specifically. But even when it comes to shows, like one of my biggest things that helps like calm the anxiety down is music. So I'll be
Mm,
backstage with headphones on.
okay.
I'll be in my own corner. Like some people think it's because I'm being standoffish. No, I just really don't want to have a panic attack. So I just
Yo, that's
I'll
real
be
though.
like over by myself, kind of music will be playing. I try not to be like in the mix because when you're in the mix, you get to looking at everybody and such. So
Hmm.
I'm back there so that I can hear what's going on, but not necessarily in the mix.
Hmm.
So music helps me a lot. Being prepared, like having a plan, knowing what time makeup, tan, everything is. And then I always build cushions in too. So like I'm the person who like I lay everything out, I pack everything so that way if I get to my makeup and they're running behind, if I have to go straight from makeup to the venue, I'm prepared to do that. So really having the plan, being prepared, and like my music is kind of what helps. And then like right before I step on stage every time, I literally, sometimes I close my eyes, sometimes I don't, depending on where I'm at. And I literally just count to 10, woosah, and then I hear them say my name. And I'm like, all right, then I go. But a whole
Hey,
different persona. Like what you see on stage is not really me. It's a different persona, it's a different person.
I ain't gonna lie. I commend you on that. Like, cause I'm like so it is a different person when I go on stage,
Mm,
but it's like this, like I want to present this overly confident person. I'm
mm,
naturally confident. I just feel like the lights make it like it enhances it in a sense.
mm,
So, it's very interesting to hear someone, as elite as yourself, you have to have this routine in
mm,
order for you to even, function accordingly to do, what you do professionally. So,
mhm,
to those that are, hearing this, man, like you're not above anything. Like we
mm-mm,
all go through stuff. Like we're all human. Like we all have those emotions. And you looking at someone who ranks in the top 15 in the world that kind of goes through stuff. But
mhm.
what music is playing? Like, what is the go-to, let's say, top 2 to 3 songs that you have to play that make sure that you're in that zen-like mode?
So it does kind of differ, but
Okay.
I will say for this season, one of them is definitely J. Cole Middle Child.
Hey, talk to me
Um,
nice.
that's
Yes.
one. And then Be- Beyonce, Bow Down. That's
That is not surprising. It really doesn't. I got you. Give me one. Give me one more. One more. What's another one?
and then Janet Jackson,
Hey.
All For You, because Janet that's like my idol. I love her. So Janet
I
Jackson, All
hear
For
you.
You is another.
I use music too.
Mhm.
Like, ag- music has a way, and I talked to this with Antoine about how it actually promotes different attitudes in me, and
Mhm.
sometimes I have to be very aware of that.
Mhm.
That's why I like listening to R&B a lot, because once I go to the other side, like I can't play middle child too much because I be really feeling like that. Like all the stuff he talking. So I'll be having to chill sometimes, man. So that's dope though. So have you ran across like other competitors that have like, talked about this as far as like having anxiety, like stage fright and stuff like
Not
that?
really. Not really
Okay.
too much. I know like I've done a couple seminars,
Okay.
and I speak about it a lot in my seminar because it's actually a question I get a lot. Like, what is it like for you backstage kind of question? And
Mhm.
I always am very open about it. I'm a very open and honest person, and I always say like I have stage anxiety. Like I've learned how to tame it. It definitely doesn't go away. So I'm not necessarily backstage like before Junior USA's, which was my second show. I definitely was backstage with a brown paper bag, like getting ready to
Word.
have a panic attack. Like it was bad. And then I ended up having a panic attack after I got off stage. And lucky enough, my parents were there and they knew how to
Right.
deal with it. So I was outside having a full on panic attack. And then they calmed me down and everything. So yeah, while I've learned to tame it, it's still very prevalent in my life.
Wow. So I'm gonna assume you're going to make another push for the Olympia, whether this year or next year, correct?
Mhm.
So
Either this year or next year, yeah.
yeah, so you have that, which is your competitive side, which naturally, like, and this I swear I wish I ran track in high school. But anyway, like,
We a different breed. We are a
yes,
different
you
breed.
are. You
We are a
definitely
different
are. And I
breed.
think it's so dope, like, to kind of have that correlation. But you have this competitive side along with this side that kind of it almost is telling you, yo, you shouldn't be doing this.
Mhm,
And it clashes
mhm,
like where do you find that balance at? Because I know like we all have those little voices that tell us one thing or another. We like whether you listen to it or not, like you
mhm.
have those inner voices that tell you whatever you think you should be doing or not doing. Like where do you find the balance in that, and how do you manage all that?
I tried not to really process it until after.
Mm,
So, it's one thing to know it's there, it's another to acknowledge and process it in the moment.
okay.
And that's why I don't really allow things to like slow down around me. The music helps to filter that out. So,
Got you.
by the time the headphones come off and I'm getting ready to go on stage, like I'm looking at it like this is a job I need to do. Like I'm going out here to show this product that I've been working so hard on building. So, and to me, it's kind of like a job. But if I was to actually like stop and look around and actually absorb it, that's when the panic attack will happen. That's when the lines get blurred and everything goes out the window. So I always make it a point to like, and my prep coach knows this, my family knows this. like that next day is what I spend processing on it. Whatever emotions I have,
Mm,
anything that I feel, that next day it happens. I let it go. By the time Monday comes around, I'm back training. It's gone.
okay.
It's got to go.
That's interesting.
And I think it just comes from a lot of times when it comes to us as like track runners, like,
Mm,
especially if you're a pivotal person on your team, you're running 4 events in a meet. You can't let one event ruin the other three. So, like, a lot of times my best running events were always the relay. And that was because I knew I had people depending on me, and relays were typically like last or sometimes in the middle of the meet, so I could in a sense like sometimes be overcompensating because I might have done bad in my original race. So you take that energy and put it into the next one. So I really, at a track meet, you don't have time to process that one event that happened that you did bad. You got 3 other events you got to do that day.
yeah.
So it's kind of like the same thing where like that day I'm not going to stop and process that, which, allows me not to blur those lines. And I'll do it the next day.
Okay. That's interesting because I'm like the let me process in the moment type.
Mhm,
So I think if I let it linger too long, it can really go like, all right, for example, like for my pro debut, I let that linger for a minute because I was so mad at everything regarding what happened.
mhm,
And that was only because of the pressure I put on myself regarding that. And
mhm,
then it got to the point where it was like, all right, a week went by, 2 weeks went by, 3 weeks by. People hitting me up
mhm,
like, yo, you get even my coach. I was like, yeah, I'll get to y'all when I get to y'all. I'm like, I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't. And that's only because I never processed it. I'm just
mhm,
like, I just don't want to talk to nobody. So, and then once I finally decided to, it was just one of those things like, yo, let it go. Like, it's been like 5 weeks already. Like, it's over.
mhm,
Like, it's over. Have your
mhm,
conversations with the people you need to talk to and then move on. And that's
mhm,
exactly what I did. So, and yeah, I probably should start probably practicing that
mhm.
like after the fact and kind of just live in the moment. Cause
It
I'm
helps
like,
when you have that circle around you. Like,
okay,
I'm lucky enough to have, like I said, Sid is one of my best friends. So I'm able to talk to her about it. Her parents are my parents. My parents are her parents. So
but
between
y'all might as well
talking
be
to,
sisters. I
you're
mean,
right,
look,
we basically are. That's my sister. If anybody,
for real,
but
like
um, I get to talk
mm,
to her. Like my parents go to 90% of my shows. So my parents,
nice,
my coach, my prep coach is at 98% of my shows. Like, so
nice,
I'm able to talk to, like, that's my inner circle. And then my best friend, one of my other best friends, Jordan, he is actually a IFBB pro too. So that's like my core group of people that like I talk to. Um, because they have actually competed before. So
right.
they know or been in the industry. So I talk to them, process that, go through it, and then, it's on to the next.
That's what's up. So talk to me about like your support system. Like you seem
Mm-hmm.
to have a very intricate support system
Mm-hmm.
that's vital, to you and everything you go through. How does your support system help you mentally regarding everything you go through in the sport?
Well, everyone has their own, like, I say compartment as far as my support system. Like, I have Sid, who's like my mentor, who helps
Okay.
guide me. She is the one who, teaches me about the sport. Like, half of the stuff I wouldn't even know about the sport if it wasn't for her. And just knowing her story and what she's been through. So she's that aspect of it. And then I have my prep coach who has been in this business 20 plus years, who is able to help in that as well. Then I have my parents and my sister and my aunt who know all versions of me and who are
Yes.
able to say, like, remember that one time when you were 10 and this happened and you got through it, and so they give me that portion of it. And then I have my friend Jordan, who is a fellow competitor as well, who is unbiased and always shoots it straight and tells me how it is. And so
Them
he
shooting
is
straight
that
ones be
person.
hurting
Yeah.
sometimes, but
Oh,
I hear you.
he knows this, but I listen
Uh,
and I know it's the truth. And then
yeah.
like I have like my other like my girlfriends, some of my girlfriends that live out here. My friend like Drew, who's like a childhood friend, they are a part of that support system who knows nothing about bodybuilding, but they are there for me like mentally, and they're like they know the other version of Shanice. So they
Okay.
give me comfort in that. Like they're the ones who like have the baked goods after shows. If they went well, I'm getting that from them. Like they are the ones like my girlfriends who are just like that part of that support system that they're just comforting. And they're gonna say anything to me, which I know how to weigh it out because they've never competed before, so they don't
Right.
know, but they're still comforting, and I still need them. So everybody who is in like my close like support system um, are just people who like have different versions of me and give me different pieces of what I need at that time, and I couldn't like do it without them.
They're all pieces to the puzzle. You
Hmm.
cannot complete a puzzle without having all the pieces. So
Yeah.
that's dope.
Hmm.
Speaking of one of them pieces, Sid, you compete against her.
Hmm.
You are in the same division.
Hmm.
Give me some of the positive feedback that she's giving you to help you, move up in the sport and, continue to progress in the sport. Cause you're just based off, what we're talking about, even without the wins, I feel like you're doing amazing because you're conquering a lot of internal stuff that you go
Hmm.
through. So how is she there to kind of help you, mentally and, continue to march this journey? Because at any given moment you could stop just based off what you go through personally. So
Hmm.
mm,
She's able to relate to me. Like our backgrounds are so similar. Um, and that's how we kind of like connected. Like,
mhm.
and so she's helped me to see like that my work ethic and everything isn't normal. And that is what's really going to help catapult me in this sport because of me having the knowledge that I have and then just being such a workhorse. Like, one thing I will always say that track helped me do is it's a tough love sport. It really is one of those sports where like you can't rely on anyone but yourself. It's
Yeah.
not like a basketball or a football where there's like a team. I mean, you have a team, you might have a relay, but when you step on that track with those spikes, it's you in that track. Like you're in your own lane. You have dividers in your lane, so you stay in your dividers being the lines. You know what your lane is, stay in your lane.
Mhm.
And Sid reminds me of that often. Like, focus on the goal, focus on the finish line, stay in your lane, run your own race. Don't run nobody else's race. Don't look to the left, don't look to the right, because if anything, that's going to slow you down. Run your own race. And so, just having somebody who completely understands that and is able to kind of remind me of it is honestly a blessing in itself. I'm very thankful for her.
That's what's up.
And I
Shout
know when
out.
she sees this, she's gonna be like, "Stop talking about me in your interviews. You're supposed to choose."
Look, I'm sorry, Sid. I'm asking the question. She only answering what I'm asking. So we'll get off you in a second. I'm sorry, but nah, that's dope though, and that's actually correct. Like you talk about, running your own race, and
Mhm,
in the life that we live in, the social media life, that is the ultimate difficulty there is
mhm,
because you have so much access
mhm,
to knowledge, workouts, supplement. Like you have just all this unlimited access to what
mhm,
everyone's doing. And I fell victim to that. Like when I first got into the sport and I'm looking at, dang, like Chiron does this and oh my god, like here's Brandon, and like dang, like how did they get so big? So like, and it's like you forget like they ran their own race. Like these dudes,
Mhm,
they didn't turn into who they are overnight. There
mhm,
was a lot of work that they had to put in, and I'm actually just coming into that space this year. And
mm,
ironically, it's the year that I decided to take off,
mm.
and it's like getting
There's
a
a reason
better
you needed to take off. You
yeah,
needed to reflect.
yeah, that I needed
See?
a lot of mental clarity on that,
Mhm.
along with starting this and my PhD and all this other stuff. But yeah, so yeah, it was a lot of reasons why I needed to take off. But
Mhm,
um, just getting to understand, like, I don't have to do XYZ just because someone else does XYZ.
mhm,
I don't have to do the same shows, or I don't have to pick their brain. I mean, if I
mhm,
choose not to. So yeah, running your own race, and like you said, like staying in your own lane, like
mhm.
that's dope advice. Like she gave you, and clearly you following it. You made it to the Olympia. So tell me a little bit besides the stage. How was your Olympia experience?
It was amazing. It was I could not have asked for a better first like, and the funny thing is that was probably the least amount of stress and anxiety I've had going into a show.
Really?
Mhm.
I thought it would have been higher. Why is
A
that?
lot everybody thinks that, but no, that was, in my opinion, well, up until recently, like my best package to date, my best stage presentation, um, obviously my best placing in the world, like to be at the top of second call outs, like
Look, we
that.
not gonna skip over that. Like you top 14 in the world. You better talk nice. We not gonna skip over that. I'm sorry.
My trainers tell me all the time because I have two trainers, and they tell
Uh-huh.
me all the time. They're like, "Talk your stuff." I'm like, "No, I'm not that kind of person. I'm really not."
Look, I'll talk it for you. It's funny because I'm like that. I'll be trying to like, nah, I'm
They
cool, man.
say
I
the
just want to work.
same
I'm cool.
thing.
But I'll be telling
I'm like,
everyone else, like, man, you better talk your talk. Like for real.
no,
That's crazy.
I'm eternally grateful for that, and it was for me, it was an amazing experience because not only was that my first time competing, that was my first time at the O period. Like,
Right. Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, I know nothing. I knew nothing about
It's
bodybuilding.
funny. I'm trying to go this year. Of course, I have ambitions of going as an athlete. But
Yeah,
I really wanna go this year because 'cause I'm gonna really push next year to go, and I need to see it.
yeah.
Like, I need to
I
see it.
never seen it. So like trying to get, people to explain to me what it even looks like, how it goes. But yeah, so it was an amazing experience. It really was.
That's funny. It sounds like you just got thrown into the Olympia too. You
I,
just get
I
thrown
didn't
into a lot of this stuff, don't you?
If you would have told me that I was going to win Pittsburgh Pro out of all shows, Pittsburgh Pro. If you would have told me that even like a couple of weeks before it happened, and I'm like, yeah, okay.
That is so fire to me, like, because it's literally like what you were just talking about. You just running a race,
Hmm.
you get to where you get to, you land in Pittsburgh,
Hmm.
and boom, there you go. Like, that's so dope to me. Like, cause you seem like the type that you will bury yourself in your work. Like,
Hmm.
I just have to do this.
Hmm.
And of course, that has a lot to do with the track background. And I feel the correlation is like you said, in track, it's just you and your lane
Hmm.
versus whoever's on there. You don't, of course, relays have the team aspect on it. And then
Hmm.
the same thing with bodybuilding, you're on a team, like you're on
Yeah.
Sid's team, but you
Hmm.
compete against her. You see what I'm saying? So I
Hmm.
think that's how it relates, in that attitude, that mantra, that everything, that track, it does translate over. So
Hmm.
but with you burying yourself into the training and the nutrition and everything, there has to be a balance, right? So
Hmm.
what is something that you do to help bring that balance, like self-care? Like what is something that allows you to not tip the scale one way or another?
So I spend a lot of time with friends and family. Like,
Okay.
ironically, this weekend, like I went up to Connecticut because it's only like a 4.5, 5 hour drive from here. My parents are celebrating their 43rd wedding anniversary. So I went
Mm.
up to surprise them, and I spent the weekend with
Congrats to
my
the
family.
parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have friends that live in the area, and I make it a point to at least once a week. I catch up. I make like a date with one of my girlfriends or all of them or anyone, any of my close friends in the area. That once a week we go out and do something, to make sure I am getting that balance. And honestly, I am also a opposing coach. So I have about 30 to 40 clients that I see.
Sheesh.
And so that actually gives me joy. It gives me a lot of fulfillment because I've always been the type of person that whatever knowledge I receive, in regards to anything that I'm a part of, I'm always so eager to pass it on to the next person. Like I'm always so eager to bring that next person up and learn. I'm like, hey, look what I learned. You should know this too. So I actually get a lot of joy out of with my clients and posing sessions. So between that and just hanging out with my close friends and family and doing fun things, because the DMV area always has something going on, whether it be art shows to like,
Of
networking
course.
mixers to,
Hmm.
it's always something going on out here. So I always do that as well to make sure I get that reprieve.
That's good. And keep giving back to those who
Yeah.
are acquiring knowledge. I think that's so dope because a lot of the amateurs, I mean, even me as a pro, sometimes I'll be thinking like, man, I don't want to reach out because I'll be feeling like they think I may be competition or I'm too little to know this information. Maybe like I don't know, but sometimes like that information does not get passed down by a lot of people, and it's
Mm,
very unfortunate because I feel
it
like
is.
this sport is so tough mentally
Mhm,
and it's rigorous in the routine and it's a lot of sacrifice that a lot of people can find some support in the wisdom that gets passed down, believe it or
mhm.
not. So I think that's very honorable that you do that, and I pray that you continue to do that because I know I
Well,
love doing it too. I mean, I ain't too much of nobody yet, but the
that
locals
means
be asking for
nothing.
information.
You have
You're right, it
completed
don't.
and
Yeah, yeah,
So
you're right. Yeah, I gotta remember. See, look, that just what we was talking about. See, I'll be trying to be very humble about that. See, I'll be acting like that too, but I'll dive into some quick hitters because
Okay.
this storm is starting to cut up a little bit.
Oh,
I hear
yes,
it.
please.
Yeah,
Please go.
Hillary trying to come through in here and shut the whole
Oh,
thing down. So,
gosh. Wouldn't be the first
so
time.
what? That's funny. What is something you could tell people that's saying, "Hey, I want to get to Shanice's level in the sport," or just someone that just wants to? What is bodybuilding? Like, what is some type of wisdom, knowledge, or any advice that you can give them if it had to be one thing?
Do your research.
Hey, that's a very good one.
Yes, because I was lucky enough to be partnered with the two trainers that I have, my prep coach, Pro Physiques, my team. Everybody that's on my team has a wealth of experience because Whitney Jones is on my team, 3-time Miss Fitness
She
Olympia.
out this way, ain't she?
No, they're all in Arizona.
Okay, cool. All
Yeah.
right.
So it's like I was fortunate enough to like I didn't do my research at first, but I had teammates and friends who knew, so they kind of enlightened me. But off the rip, when I started to get serious about competing, I wish I would have started to do real research then. Like I did New York Pro was my like fifth show ever, and Ronnie Coleman had went by. No, I had no idea who he was. And
Oh
people
wow.
People like
That's funny.
it was it was bad, and I probably should have not admitted that, but it was bad. So like
No, I mean,
now,
I wouldn't have known that my first probably 4 shows either. I mean, but
yeah,
that
but it's
I
it's just it's one of those things where like I just gave that as an example. Like it's just good to know like the pivotal people in your sport, because if you're playing basketball, if you're in the NFL, you know who those pivotal people are in your sport. Like you
mhm.
should know that. And so it's just doing things like that, like research about people, research about, um what people go through as far as competing and everything. So it's just my biggest piece of advice is do your research. Even when it comes to picking a coach, make sure you do your research on that coach, because all coaches are not created equal. So
That's a
make sure you do
fact,
your research.
especially on that, please.
Hmm.
Um, if besides the Olympia, and of course you already won the Pittsburgh Pro, if there's one show that you got circled on your calendar that says, look, this is the show I want to win, I feel like this show is for me, which show is that?
Honestly, it's Pittsburgh. Like
You
it's just,
won that already. Look,
I know, but
you
it's
want to win it
just,
again, huh?
yeah, it's one of
Look.
those things where it's Pittsburgh is just that show. And then another one that I would look at, just because since I know her and I know Drea Shaw and Whitney, the Triple O Dynasty show that's coming up in March of 2024. That's gonna be a show, because I know those three ladies, and I know how they are as far as a business, how meticulous they are, and how they want to make
Mm,
sure they spoil the athletes. I know that's
okay.
going to be a great show. A great show.
Side question: will they have men's physique or is it just pro figure?
It's just it's
No.
figure bodybuilding. The pro is only going to be pro figure, pro women's bodybuilding, and pro women's physique. Those are the only three pro
Nice.
categories they're having. Everything else is
Okay,
going to be NPC. So
got you.
nothing for the guys.
I
Nothing
mean, it's
for
cool. I mean, I ain't tripping. It's alright. I'll go cry in the car. It's all right. Nah, that's dope though, and that's early next year, so that'll be
Hmm.
cool. So
Yeah.
that actually, I mean, probably put that show on the map. So that's
Yeah.
what's up. And last but not least, I need 2 guests from you that you feel can contribute more to this conversation, as far as, being able to tell their story a little bit, but also talk about more so what they go through on the mental side as far as bodybuilding. If you could prefer 2 women, that would be great, but
Hmm.
whoever you think of, perfectly fine.
Oh, for sure, Cherish Richardson.
Hmm.
She's one of my good friends. She just won Pittsburgh this year.
I'm going
It
to
is
Pittsburgh.
going.
Oh, look, Pittsburgh, where it's at. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, she's good because I didn't compete. I couldn't compete in Pittsburgh this year. She won Pittsburgh
Okay.
this year and is going to the also Cherish Richardson.
Hmm.
Um, and I would say, if are you looking for just pro or amateurs too?
It could be either or. It could be either
Okay.
or. I definitely want to talk to some amateurs too, just
Okay.
so to get where they're at in the sport as well.
Um, who'd be my Jasmine Pitts? Jasmine Pitts.
Mm,
Pitts. She's an NPC figure girl.
okay.
Um, she would be one. Um, I'm just trying to think. Um, Renee Hershey, that's another teammate of mine.
Okay.
She's wellness. She's competed in the past two Olympias.
I haven't got a wellness girl on here, so that'll
Mm,
be good. Like I
Renee
got my
Renee
calendar
Hershey.
lit, and the wellness girls is missing. So
Yeah.
that would be dope. So
Yes.
here's the trick though. You have to help me get them on here.
Okay. I know
That's the
Cherish.
trick.
I know Cherish 100% would do it.
Okay, cool. I know
And
some people
I'll
that
reach
don't
out to
do it
Renee.
want to do it, and that's like I totally get it. But as
Yeah.
long as they can, hear from you, and like once they see your episode, hopefully that entices them to,
Yeah.
want to do it. So yeah, but that is the trick. You got to help me get them on here.
I got you. All
All
right.
right. So yeah, that is Miss Shanice Abrams. We gonna cut it out here. I appreciate you so much
Of
for
course.
coming on here and really enlightening me
Mhm.
and your fans and the bodybuilding community that you are very much human and you go through normal day-to-day stuff just like anybody else.
Mhm.
And congratulations on conquering your fears, for real.
Thank you.
All
Thank you. I'm
right,
still work
we
in
out.
progress,
See.
but every
All
day.
right, we out. See y'all on the next one. Peace.